What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers have signed two new players to the Summer League roster for Las Vegas in Moses Brown and Trent Forrest. Moses Brown in particular, I want to start with because he's a guy that I actually like. I liked him coming out in 2019. He went undrafted. We've talked about him last year a few times about potentially bringing him on and kind of being a development big. He's very versatile. He's still 24 years old, so he has still room for growth, upside, and potential. I mean, the guys we drafted this year, and Dalton Connect is 23. And then the guy that everyone wants to see actually get in the rotation, Blake Hinson, he's 24. But when you look at Moses Brown, I mean, he's a 7'2" center that has, solid athleticism, good versatility. He has NBA experience. He's actually had some pretty good stints. His best stint was with the Oklahoma City Thunder. So that was his second year in the league. He played an average of 43 games. He started 32 of those games. He played 21.4 minutes for Oklahoma City that year. He averaged 9 points, or just a hair under 9 points, and 9 rebounds, averaged 1.1 blocks, and just a hair under 1 steal per game. He averaged offensive rebounds 3.6, so he was averaging almost 4 offensive rebounds a game for them that year. Free throw shooting definitely needs some work. He's not really a floor spacer at all. He's not a guy that's going to stretch the floor by any stretch of the imagination, but he is a long, lengthy, versatile type of center that I think could have some real potential. Offensively, definitely has his flaws, definitely has his concerns. And then you look at last year with Portland, right? Because he's played for several teams. It's basically been Portland twice. He went to Portland undrafted. Then he went to OKC. Then he went to Dallas, Cleveland, and then he went to the Clippers briefly, and then Brooklyn and Portland again. Last year with Portland, he played in 22 games, started 5 of those games, played an average of 9.1 minutes, and gave 4 points and 4 rebounds. So this guy, given 20 minutes a game, 25 minutes a game, is basically a double-double guy, right? Because, he averaged 21 minutes per game his second year with OKC and gave you 9 and 9, right? So if you give him another 4 minutes, he's getting you at least 10 rebounds, probably giving you another, 2 points or another bucket. So he's probably, looking at a double-double type guy, get you a block. But to me, it's more about the upside, the potential, and the growth. This is a guy that I do think, if brought in and given the opportunity to really be shaped and molded into a legit kind of two-way center, I don't know if he'd be able to stretch the floor. He's a guy that, like, we don't have enough samples. Like, you see guys that, like, yeah, they don't really shoot threes, but, like, you've seen them take, maybe 20 attempts in the last year or whatever, so you kind of can get a look and a feel. Like, he's pretty much just solely around the rim. He's just that high-flying big man that can run the floor. He's floor-running big, be a lob threat. He's got good length. Again, being 7'2", he's a true 7-footer. He's a guy that I definitely think would be a development piece. I don't think he's a guy that you're bringing in to be a rotation guy. But if the Lakers, move up Colin Castleton, right, there's reports that the Lakers are targeting Wendell Carter Jr., right? So, let's say you go and make a trade for Wendell Carter Jr., that kind of allows you to move off of Christian Wood or Jackson Hayes. Maybe now you're bringing Castleton up from a two-way contract, right? You'd have to unload some players and stuff like that. But, maybe you bring up him and then maybe you slot in Moses Brown on your two-way. And he kind of gives you now a 24-year-old 7'2" guy that has good versatility, that can, defend a little bit out on the perimeter and rebound, block shots, do all that stuff that you could kind of just use to grow and develop. I like the idea of Moses Brown. He's a guy that I think has potential still. And I think if it's more about just giving the opportunity, right? Like, the Thunder kind of went a completely different direction, so it ended up, he kind of just became the odd man out, where he was a guy that I thought the Thunder would kind of stick with and keep around for a while, because he was good for them. But then, the SGA comes in and they make all the trades and stuff, because you got to remember, he was departed because of that, right? So the Thunder basically went right instead of staying left, which, I mean, hey, it worked out for the Thunder, right? I mean, look at the roster now. But in 2019, right, that's when Paul George ended up going to the Clippers, and yeah, Moses Brown kind of became the odd man out. But Trent Forrest, moving on to him. If I'm being honest, he's a guy that I don't see being on a two-way, nor actually making a roster spot. I like Trent Forrest. I mean, he played for Atlanta, and he again showed some flashes. The problem is he's 26, right? So he's not a guy that you can really he's probably closer to his ceiling than he is his floor, and his ceiling so far hasn't been great. Granted, it's not like he's gotten this huge role in opportunity. He played for Utah for 2 years, played for Atlanta for 2 years. In the 2 years with Utah, he played a total of 90 games, and he only started 6. He averaged about 11 minutes per game between those 2 seasons, and gave you 3 points, 1.8 assists. I'll be nice and say half a steal, half a block. Gave you basically 2 rebounds. Shot basically 79% from the foul line, but not on a ton of attempts because obviously he didn't play a ton of minutes. Had EFGs of around 50%, 22% or from 2-point range. Had 55% from the field. He had 1 year where he was 60%, 1 year where he was 55%, so let's call it 57%. And then 3-point range was atrocious. Basically got you, he didn't really take any, like the closest he took to a full attempt was with the Utah Jazz, and he shot 19%. So again, that's not something that you could really look at and go oh man, this guy's great. It's just no Bronny. They're kind of letting go of guys. Las Vegas Summer League. To me, Trent Forrest is just a guy that they're bringing in just to kind of get a look at. But I just think given his age, he's 6'4". He's really a 2 guard. He's not really a combo guard. He's more of a scoring shooting guard. But he's not this excellent scorer, right? He's got a good first step, athletic. He hasn't done anything that's really impressed me. He's not a guy that I look at and go, man, he's the guy that I think is a big acquisition. He's a guy that has this potential, right? At 20, again, you look at a guy like Blake Henson, and it's he's 6'8", lights out from 3. Obviously, he's a shooter. I know his last game, he was 1 of 8 or something like that from 3, but that's part of being a shooter, right? You have your games where you're 7 of 9, and then you have your next game where you're 1 of 8. It's part of the gist of it, right? Plus, he's going to be playing alongside better players. But I look at a guy like him, his size, what we saw, it's just, he's a guy, I would rather have him. Would you rather have Henson or would you rather have Trent Forrest? Trent Forrest for me just hasn't done anything where I'm just oh, this is the guy, this is the piece that, man, I could really see him cracking the rotation. I just think that he's just another, Kuzi, another East the second, right? These guys that, you're bringing on, you're trying to give them an opportunity to display their talents, for maybe some other team. Maybe another team takes a flyer on him. If he was 23, then sure, I'd probably be let's see what he does in Summer League, right? But unless he is just Kobe in his prime during Summer League, I don't necessarily see a team really taking a flyer on him, because again, it's just he hasn't displayed enough, and even in the NBA, even in the moments and opportunities that he has, right? Again, he's and you can argue, okay, how much can you display when you're only averaging 10 minutes a game, right? Or you're only averaging 11 minutes a game. But he's done that every year he's played. So it's not one of those guys where, you'll see guys and it's oh, yeah, he played 10 minutes his rookie year, but he's only played 3 ever since. So it's how many? No, this guy, again, 2 years with Atlanta or with Utah, averaged 11 minutes per game. His 2 years with Atlanta, he averaged about, again, 11 minutes per game. 1 year he averaged 12 minutes. The last year he averaged 11 minutes. Played in 38 games last year, started none. played in 23 games the first year, and started in 3. But it's like his numbers got worse. like, like I said, his best year was that second year in Utah, and his best year was 3 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds in 12 minutes of action. Right? And I get he wasn't a focal point, he wasn't this big piece, but also it just like watching him even on like the defensive side, or he doesn't have this like great length and size and physicality. He's 6'4", 210. There's 100 of these guys in the NBA and another 1,000 that are over there, right? He's had games here and there where like he'll go and get you 10 on any given night, but for the most part he's just a guy that I don't see the Lakers bringing him in any capacity. But you gotta fill out the roster for Summer League, and you want to give guys an opportunity. You want to give guys that you might have a little curiosity for, right? But to me, it's like, okay, let's say this guy needs a year or 2 of development, right? By the time you develop him, he's 28, right? It's just like, to me, I'd rather take a flyer on a guy that's 20, right? Or that has like upside. And I just think Blake Hinson, Armel Traore, they're the 2 guys that have really stood out in Summer League, and there are 2 two-way guys. Obviously, Bronny and Connect, but they're already on the roster. I'm talking about our 2 two-way guys. Colin Castleton's the 3rd two-way. So who are you taking these guys over, right? Even Moses Brown, I'd probably still keep Castleton because I just think you've invested the time and effort and energy, right? But like these 2 guys, like who are you keeping, or who are you removing out of Traore, Hinson, and Castleton for either of these guys? The only person that I could see potentially making it is Moses Brown, because I do think he has shown the capability and the potential and upside. He's also, again, 2 years younger, right? Where, again, Trent, he just hasn't shown enough, in my opinion. And he's not really a position of need, where Moses Brown, in my opinion, is a position of need, and likely will be going forward. You can't teach 7-2. You can't teach some of the intangibles that Moses Brown has. But to me, it would be if the Lakers can move off of Castleton, not in the sense of like you let him go, but in the sense of like you're moving him up to the main roster. He's kind of your 3rd center, and then you're developing Moses Brown, and then now you're in good shape, right? But it also depends on what the Lakers do, especially in particular the trade front, right? Because if they go trade for a Walker Kessler or something like that, then there's probably no point in bringing in Moses Brown, because Castleton's probably going to be the 2nd. I mean, maybe Moses Brown later on down the road, and when LeBron retires, you move AD to the 4 full time, right? So I don't know, but anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like either of these guys? Do you think like neither of these guys really do it for me? Is there anyone in particular that you'd like to see? Do you like the idea of bringing in Moses Brown on a 2-way? Do you think no? Like, all right, Phil, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot, so you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.